All right, everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be the weekly analysis video for the upcoming trading week, which begins tomorrow, June June 7th, and it's going to run until the 12th, which is Friday. So I have a lot to talk about this week. It's going to be an interesting week ahead. So let's just pray. God, we thank you again for another opportunity to trade and for the new opportunities that this week brings. I pray that you'll be with anyone watching this video. May it be instrumental in helping them to develop patience and to develop and strengthen their strategy. We thank you and we love you. Amen. All right, guys. Those of you who are new to the channel, please remember that I also post a video prior to this where I discuss the happenings for the past week in relation to the previous analysis video that I posted. So please pause, make sure you watch the review video of the previous week, then come back and then you can see how it ties into what the predictions are for the upcoming week. So also, again, if you're new, please remember that these lines that I draw on my chart, these are my weekly boundaries. This is Sunday to Sunday, and then these are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, in between, separating the days. So that way I'm able to analyze on a daily basis on different time frames to see what the price does at a particular point in time so that I can make my next decision. All right, let's get into it. So as you will know by now, I like to draw my zones. And these currently are my zones based on the historical behavior of price, based on what I've seen the price doing. And this helps me to have a better idea of what to expect for the coming week. So if you noticed last week, here were the buy zones, right here. Where's your buy zones? Right along this level, strong support that was being formed. On Friday, we saw that the market tried to close and to break below this zone. Did not materialize on Friday. However, what you notice is that there's a lot of volatility that's present in the market. A part of that has to do with the fact that the NFP report came out on Friday. And of course, a lot of this is a reaction to those job numbers while the market actually goes to create the next higher low so it can move to a higher high. We saw 4 different all-time highs broken last week. 4 different days where you had all-time highs. So you had Monday, Tuesday, then you had Thursday and Friday. All days where you had historical highs. Now, let's look at the zones, for example. So of course, here's my my current zone of interest. Okay. This is my all-time high expansion zone, which means once the price breaks this level right here, we are in the expansion zone of the all-time high. And of course, this is going to be my second guaranteed 2026 take profit level. And I make no apologies for that. The first one was broken on Friday, which is right about in this area. Please go back and see some of my previous videos where you will see. I will show you the chart for proof and for emphasis. I have been posting this since the first week of January. I published all of these levels, and I told you that they were going to be broken in 2026. Many of you didn't believe, but yeah, that's another story. The market will actually prove me right in the end, of course. So the first one was hit on Friday. Let's look at that chart. Here's the chart. These are the levels that I've been posting all year from the beginning of the year. The first level was right here, 51,715.10. Of course, this is why I changed it, the color, because this level was hit. Okay, this happened on Friday. It tipped. We saw the retracement. This was the hard retracement on Friday. Now, the interesting thing is that there are a number of people who are perma bears, and you know, I'm not against sells by no way, shape, or form. Not against sells. Okay. On my practice accounts, on my smaller accounts, I will take a sell from time to time just to be sure. Okay. Now, sells are not permanent. They're only temporary retracements to the next higher low. Okay. The market has to sell in order to create the next higher low. Every higher high, every all-time high must, and I repeat, must originate from a higher low. You cannot have a higher high without having a higher low. And in order for you to get a higher low, there must be a sell. Okay. However, the sells are not the major move. The sell is just a temporary retracement to create that higher low that the market needs in order to go back to finish with a higher high or all-time high. That is why I said if your sell game is not strong, stay away from the sells, take your profit at your all-time highs, and then wait for the market to retrace to the next higher low before you actually continue. Well, let's look at some of the smaller time frames and I show you what I mean. So going back to this chart right here. So if you look, this is a synopsis of the 2 hour. Here's a higher high. Before you had that higher high, here you had a higher low. Okay. This low right here is definitely a higher low on a larger time frame. So let's check it. So let's use a tool right here. Let's see. Let's use this brush tool. Okay. That's the brush tool right there. So if we look at, let's say, a time frame like the 11 hour, here we go. Here's the higher low that was created. All right. That's the higher low that was created. Notice price came up, it made that higher high. Okay. Now it came back down, it made a higher low. It made a new low on the 11 hour. Now, remember, every time you see a new low, that means that the market is indicating that it wants to break structure to continue going down. Okay. Now, here's the important thing about that. This higher low that was created here, it's a higher low. However, the next time frame up, which is going to be the 12 hour, notice the 12 hour has not signaled anything as yet, which means a higher low still needs to be created. Now, the interesting thing is what I'm expecting for this week to come up. All right. While I am 100% bullish, okay, I have to ensure that I always buy at my right level. Okay. So am I going to be jumping into a buy right now? Absolutely not. And that's why I did not go into a buy on Friday. Excuse me. Did not go into a buy on Friday because, of course, I'm expecting that there's going to be some shock moves at the beginning of the market, that volatility is going to continue. I expect that to continue, okay, before the buying is going to be resuming. This is not a crash in the market. This is not a long-term sell. This is just a simple correction that is happening. It's hard and fast, which is what we see a lot of times with retracements that occur when you have a trending market that like we have now. So what am I expecting for tomorrow? Let's go back to the chart. For tomorrow, when the market opens, there should be a gap down. Okay, this sell should finish up. It needs to finish up, okay, before the buying starts again. It is not going to be the sudden death of the American economy that everybody has been waiting for. Absolutely not. So if that's what you're banking on, okay, I would advise you right now to rethink your strategy. If you manage to take the sell all the way from the top and you're now here, when this market opens, make sure that you take your profits when the time is right, monitor those lows so that you do not get trapped. Okay. A lot of people been saying, oh, one candle erased 18 days of gains. Absolute garbage. This was the sell that happened on Friday. The only thing that was broken was the previous low from the day before, not 18 days. So anybody that's telling you about 18 days of gains all wiped away by a single candle, garbage, absolute garbage. This was the sell on Friday. From the all-time high, it came right back to the buy zone. Disbelieve me? Well, let's look at last week's chart. Here we go with last week's chart. This was my buy zone all week. This is where the price ended. Okay, market opens, expect some amount of gapping down, but guess what? It's not going to be sustainable. You're not going for the rest of the week into next month and for the rest of the year. Absolutely not. The market is actually making that higher low, and however long it takes, it's only going to end at a higher low, and then it's going to go back to break the previous all-time high, which always happens with the markets. Every single high that the US 30 makes will and must get broken. Take that from me. A lot of people don't, want to trade cautiously and says, oh, nothing is guaranteed. I can guarantee you this. This all-time high that was created will get broken again. All right. So this is where you should have taken your profits. If you're trading higher lows to higher highs, the market made a higher low. It came in on the buy zones. Those of you who are following the analysis that I gave at the beginning of the week, like I'm doing now, if you followed the analysis and bought from those buy zones and you got to your all-time highs, you would have taken your profits and you would not be caught with this retracement because you would have been out of the market and you're waiting for the market to come back to another buy zone before starting again. So you got a lot of opportunities last week. All right. So that's what I'm expecting. All right. This is the expansion zone, the all-time high expansion zone. What happens here is that once it breaks the previous higher high or all-time high, it's going to be in this expansion zone, which is no man's land. This is historic territory for the market. Okay. So the next level that I'll be looking at is going to be my 2026 take profit 2 level, TP2 level. All right. That's what I'm going to be looking at, right? All right. My 2026 TP2 level. All right. This is going to be at 53,590.9. This is uncharted territory. However, this is the next level right here. This is the next TP. And then after that, we deal with all the others that are above that. Because every single high that the market makes, every time the market makes a high or an all-time high, make sure you're looking for the next higher low to get your next buy opportunity. All right. Now, couple of things. Now, I did mention in one of my previous charts that because I'm out of the market and I'm waiting for those for the next all-time high, the possibility does exist for the price to actually come back and retest this level right here. Now, let me see if I can say this the right way. If the price comes back here, it does not mean it's a crash. It's still on your smaller time frames. It's still a higher low on a larger time frame. Okay. So you still would have all of this price action down here for it to break before you start to see any kind of real structural change on your higher time frames. Guys, it has never happened in history. It's not going to start now. Okay? It is definitely not going to start now. So, what you want to see and what you want to look for is those possibilities. Is those possibilities of the higher lows being created. And once those higher lows are created, then you start looking for your next buy opportunities. 1 second, I'm just responding to a text right here. So for next week, we are looking for that higher low, that first opportunity for a higher low before we start going to the next all-time high. All right, going back to the chart. So when we look at this chart, let's look at, for example, Brent Crude. Okay, Brent is doing what Brent needs to do in order for this market to continue going up. So Brent currently is making lower highs to lower lows, lower highs to lower lows. Okay. When Brent breaks this level right here, okay, it's over for those bears completely. It has been over for the bears if you've been watching the US30. But those of you who still want a little confirmation or a little bit more confidence, when you look at Brent, you'll see that Brent crude is making lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. Okay. All right. Now, as it relates to news, I told you, I do not trade news. Okay. I don't trade news. It's just there to create volatility, panic, in the markets. That's all it does. That's all that it does. Creates volatility and panic. All of this you see right here is driven by volatility. But guess what? It creates opportunities for smart traders. Higher lows, higher highs. Higher lows, higher highs. Higher lows, this is going to be finished tomorrow into Monday before we actually start buying again. And if you pay attention to my charts, you will see that I have highlighted my zones. This is exactly where I'm expecting price to buy from and go into those expansion zones. Now, the good thing about being out of the trade and waiting for the higher lows is that if the market opens and it gaps and it comes all the way down here, yes, I would have missed this sell because I'm not in the market, but guess what? You can't lose what you didn't risk. So if it gaps and it comes all the way down here, it's a better opportunity for me to get a buy entry to go all the way back up here, because rest assured, this level is going to get broken. If you don't believe me, make a note on your calendars. Today is the 6th of June at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. And I'm telling you that this level is guaranteed to get broken again. All right. Now, so again, it's real simple. There's nothing much for me to add, nothing crazy that I'm expecting for the upcoming week, more than just be cautious. If you are a bear and you're in trades, just be cautious. If you plan to hold those things long term, it's a trap. You're going to get caught, okay, before this thing buys and goes back to the all-time high. If you are a bull and you bought anywhere up here, I'm sorry for you. That's the dumbest thing you could have ever done. So this sell right here that caught you, if you bought anywhere here at these levels, I'm sorry for you. You should not be in the markets up here buying, putting in new buys. You should be taking profits here and waiting. So anybody who is not in the market yet and planning to buy, you're in the perfect condition, because you just want to wait. It's about patience, guys. No rush. Okay. Looking at your seasonal charts, and let me scroll down. So if you look at your seasonal charts, you'll see what's going on here. Let me put up the average. You're still above average. With this sharp decline that we saw here, you're still above average. It's okay. It's normal behavior for this time of the year. Remember, we already broke over the 0%. Expect this trajectory to continue for the rest of the year. The only time you would be nervous right now is if you just placed a buy on Friday afternoon when you should have been out of the markets, just going to enjoy the profits that you made for the week and just leaving trading alone for the weekend and just analyzing. Remember, After the all-time high was hit, I mentioned to you, now is the time for you to analyze more than you trade. Some of you think that you have to trade every single minute of the day. No, you don't. Take your higher lows, buy them to your all-time highs. Take your profits, and then you wait. That's it. All right. So again, just to recap what I'm expecting for this upcoming week. Here are my zones of interest. This is my zone of interest. My buy zone is currently at this buy zone. Notice every time price comes here in this zone, it buys from this zone. It can break the zone, no question about that. But just understand that if it breaks the zone, it's just searching for the next higher low. So just be patient and wait before you take that buy. Because once you go into that buy at the right level, you can literally know that your take profit level is going to be the previous all-time high. All right. So this is my buy zone. This is my expansion zone. This is the next TP that I'm targeting. All right. So again, going over, I'm 100% bullish. I buy from my higher lows and I go to my all-time highs or my higher highs. If the market consolidates and I get only a lower high, I take my profits and I wait for my next higher low. Those of you who are on social media, you can follow me at AuberStrategy on Instagram and also on TikTok. I try to post videos as often as I can. No guarantees that I will do them as often as you would like, but you can also see my previous videos. You can also send me an email or, shoot me some message or whatever. When I see it, I'll respond. But that's my analysis. I charge nothing for this. It's free. Use it if you'd like. But like I tell you, I can guarantee my own strategy 100%. I don't need to explain anything to anybody. The chart speaks for itself. My videos are there as proof. You see what I post every single week about the market being 100% bullish and that the price will continue to break those all-time highs, and it has. So thank you guys again for watching. I hope you have a wonderful trading week. And may we all continue to study and succeed together. Take care. Bye-bye.